Hello everyone, welcome back to Java Codex Angular 18 tutorial series. So in this video, we'll explore about Angular components. In the previous video, we discussed about Angular project setup and folder structure. If you want to know about how to set up this Angular project, you can go and watch these two videos. You will get a better understanding. So in this video, let's start with Angular components. Without further delay, let's get started. If we want to build any complex functionality, we can divide this complex functionality into bits. Then you can create the multiple components for that. So with this, you can able to maintain this application very easy. If you are facing any issues also to identify the issue, fixing those issues, it is very easy. So and also we are writing some business functionalities in the component. In the future, if you want to use this same functionality in the different places in the application, then you can reuse the component. So while creating the application using Angular, so in this application, every form and every button, every single item is one component. Okay, so I will give you some real-time example here. So this is my website, and in this website I have some multiple tabs. So this is contact us tab, and again, so this is one more tab, that is about us, and here is, so this is another tab that is called something like services. Okay, so if you see, we have three tabs here, and also in the usually in the left side we can have the icon of this organization. So this is overall idea about our website. So left side will have the logo of this website. Okay, when you click this contact us, it will open the contact us page. When you click the about us, it will open the about us. Same as the services also. When you click on the services also, you can show some drop down information inside that, and in the drop down again you can give the multiple services information. When you select this services information, again separate form will open. Okay, so if you see this complete thing, this contact as one component, about as one component, services as one component. Inside the services, again there is a multiple items will come. So those things again individual different kind of components. Okay, so when you click on the contacts, it will open some contacts information. So if there we can enter the first name, last name, email ID, phone number, then submit button. In the submit button also, that is you can use to create separate component as well. So every single item will consider as a component in the Angular. Okay, so if you see our component, how it is looks like. So this is the first application I have created in my previous video. So while creating every Angular project, it will come with one default component, that is app component. Okay, so in this we have this app component.ts file. Okay, if you observe this app component, so here we have annotation component. So this annotation component is a decorator. It is having multiple arguments. Okay, so this will be there in our component class. So again, this annotation component will having the multiple argument. We'll see what is the use of all these arguments. First one, if you use, this is the selector app root. So using this selector, we need to specify this app root tag inside the index.html to write all our HTML content into website. If you see here, I'm specifying app.router. From with this selector, it will render all this HTML content into home page like index.html. Another one is standalone true. So in the Angular 18, we are getting the standalone as a true. In the previous version of Angular, we need to specify this component information is app mod. So we need to specify all the components as individual. That is the reason they're specifying standalone as true. So we need no need to specify this component related information anywhere in the Angular project. Okay, so another parameter is import. So if you are working with any form validation or HTTP client or any forms, then we need to add all the dependencies in the import section only. So previous versions, there is a app model, there we need to specify all these modules dependencies. That is the use of imports here. Previously it was not there in the component, now it is in the component section itself. Another one is template URL. So this is template URL is nothing but for this particular component where we need to define all the HTML tags. Okay, so we are specifying this component related HTML like app.component.html. If you see, this is the HTML file. Here we need to specify our HTML code related to this component. Okay, so same like styles also. If you want to write some CSS styles for this one, here the app component.css, here we need to write our CSS code. Okay, so apart from this one, we are using this app component to write our business logic in TypeScript format. If you see here, we are defining one variable like title and first. Apart from that, if you want to write any business logic, you can define the variables and we can write all the business logic in the components using TypeScript. For example, either email, first name, last name. For login page, we have email ID and password. You can take that and you can do the validations, right? So you can write, I am just talking about a common component, but in the app component, usually won't keep all these things. Okay. So usually whenever creating the component, inside the component, we need to write the business logic in the TypeScript format. Okay. And apart from this, this component will have some lifecycle methods also. How to use those lifecycle methods? You can just use the implements, and if you see, there is on init, on destroy, on changes. So these are all the lifecycle method. If you are using on init, so if you see, it is asking to override one method, that method called ng on init. So this method will execute whenever clicking on any tab, because right now it is there in the app component. So app component will load at the time of launching this application, but usually this ng on init, if you are defining this ng on init in the component, for example, if you are defining this ng on init in the contact component, so in this case, when you click on the contacts tab, then it will execute this ng on it. Ng on it is a lifecycle method. Whenever you are using, you need to override ng on init method. Then we need to write functionality related to this ng on init. It will execute only one time. So if you want such a kind of initialization logic, you can write in the ng on init. Okay. Apart from the lifecycle method, there is one more lifecycle method, that is on destroy. So if you see the on destroy, so it will give one more method to override that method, on destroy method. On destroy method, when it will execute, when I closing the browser. So for example, you have opened this application, you are going to close this application to expire, then also this ng on destroy method will execute. And apart from that, there is a constructor also. If you see, this constructor is this. Okay. So when the constructor will execute, so constructor will execute before ng on it, constructor will execute. Okay, if you see, if you want to see, then you can just keep some blocks and you can validate those things. We'll see in the coming videos when this ng on it execute, when this constructor will execute, when this ng on destroy will execute. But in this video, we are going to see what is the component, what are the logic we need to write the inside the component, and what is the use of components. Okay.